Guys, so welcome back. Sorry about the background noise. Doing something a little bit different today. So, the nice thing about Canada is that we've got forest everywhere. And it's pretty much all crown land, so you're free to just go hike around wherever you'd like. So today's adventure is off the beaten trail. I need some practice. Need to brush up on my archery and my primitive trapping. So we're out here today. Just gonna look for a nice quiet spot to set down all my gear, and then yeah, we'll go from there. So thanks for joining me, and keep along for the adventure. Okay, so we found a nice little spot. Got to clean up a little bit before I have a fire, but I'm not going to have anything crazy. I think I'll just make a nice little coffee quick since I'm out here, and just have that to enjoy, because I plan on doing a few other things throughout the afternoon that I'm out. So I've got my bow. I found a nice little seat here, so work for the short time that I'm going to be out here. There's a few stumps that are rotting up on the hill that I have over to my right, and then down here to the left of me, down this little hill. So they're kind of hidden, so it'll be nice kind of target practice from here. And then yeah, I'm gonna set up some primitive traps. So I don't plan on catching anything because I'm not allowed to right now, but I do want to see what I can do. I've got to brush up on my stuff, but got my knife all sharpened up, so I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, so we'll see what we can do. I'm gonna get the bow up and shoot off some arrows first, because I'm itching to do it. I was out yesterday, and I love shooting the bow, so it'll be fun to get some more practice in, and then after a little bit I think I'll make a coffee. Thanks, guys. Okay, so usually in the woods, one of the things that happens is that things don't go as planned. Now, I started to realize that's one of my favorite parts about the outdoors. Pretty much nothing in my life ever goes as planned. So, the fun thing about out here is that, just like life, I kind of anticipate it, but there's less restrictions. You're on your own. You're not dealing with the busyness of society. You just kind of go out and battle against yourself. And if you know that nothing's probably going to go the way that you plan it, and then nothing goes the way you planned it, then there's that funny little bit of satisfaction knowing that at least you were right about that. So what I'm doing here is just processing up my firewood and get that all good. Like I said before, I'm not going to have a huge fire. I'm not staying out here long term or anything. So I just want to get a quick little fire brewed up and make a coffee. And yeah, nothing too crazy. So all the larger logs, everything that I was going to try and use for a rocket stove, isn't really dry. So rather than going to great depths to find some more dry wood, since I did find a little bit, I'm just going to use what I've got and work with it. Rock stove. Three pieces all built now. Hopefully they fit together well. Hopefully. So, this wouldn't necessarily be the most ideal place to set up the trap, but it's a good example. It's a nice area. It should work well. So, what you want to do, make sure you're on a game trail. Obviously right here there's not much going on, but I just want to set up the trap and show the functionality of it. So this would be a good size trap for, well, the rock would be a good size trap for a mouse, but obviously the trigger stick and everything, the setup would be a little bit overkill for a mouse. So if you've built everything correctly, then it actually will all pretty much interlock perfectly for you. The better your tolerance, the better your tolerance is when you practice building it, when you're constructing all of your angles and your joints, the better the trap's going to work. The worse the tolerance, the harder the trap's going to be to set up, and the less likely the trap's going to be to actually go off when you want it to. So, bring you guys around a little bit so you can see. Yeah, once again, won't beat a dead dog or a dead horse. Trap's not to scale, but the big thing that I wanted to show was what goes into the trap and what's going to be the functional parts and what are the important parts, I suppose, of building this and creating something that's actually going to get you something to eat. So a few little steps here. Location wise, this wouldn't be awful because we've got a nice little wall here to kind of help guide our prey in, and then we have a base rock underneath to help kind of squish the prey and quickly kill it in a humane way so that it's not wiggling around and it also doesn't get away. So at the top we have the holding log. So this is holding the majority of the weight, all rotating it on this little wedge here, coming down to our little point where all of our logs interlock. So we have our trigger stick, our main post, and then our teetering log, or our support log. So all of the weight gets transferred down into these points, to the joint that we've created here, and then the little joint here. We bait this stick, so when the prey comes in, boom. So there's not much fall there. However, for a mouse or some smaller prey, maybe a chipmunk or a squirrel, this would almost be ideal. Because if you can catch the two between these two rocks, you can hear it. It doesn't have to be too heavy or too difficult, too weighted. If you can get those two rocks to come together, the kinetic energy is just going to end whatever you're trying to get, as long as it's small enough. So we've got our figure 4. The main thing that we do is, if we were going to be camping long-term, if we were going to be surviving long-term in this area, we'd set up multiple traps all over the place, and we'd constantly be going out and checking the traps and resetting them if they didn't catch anything, or just checking to see if they did get anything. Because the biggest thing with one of these primitive traps is that if you do get some prey and you're out in an area that has a lot of different predators, then you want to get to it once it's killed quickly so that somebody else doesn't take your supper. But if you have multiple setups and you have a good routine set up, then you can constantly be going through, checking everything, making sure everything's set, and making sure you've gotten any of your potential meals, you know. And then alrighty, you guys, so thanks for tuning in. I know it was a really quick trip out this week. Didn't get much done, but I think the things that we got done this week are pretty crucial skills. There's some things that I needed to really brush up on and just kind of play around with and make sure I had under my belt, and just things that I think everyone should be able to do out in the bush if you want to be able to kind of live or be able to sustain yourself out here. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in. If you liked what was going on, please drop a like. Make sure to subscribe, comment if you want to, share everything, and check out my Instagram page. We'll see you next week.